What's good, y'all? I'm back. Rick Knows Hoops. It's been a little minute for real, but I'm here to react to the AllStar Game reserves. The starters were announced last week, and man, I was 9 for 10. I was one player off. The only player I missed was Luka. I had Damian Lillard as the other guard for the West, but Luka ended up getting the nod. I still say Dame should have got it, but I'm not going to dwell too much on that. You know, got mad respect for Luka, love Luka's game, so I'm not really going to dwell too much on that. But I'm here to really talk about the reserves. A lot of animosity, I would say, is coming from this list of reserves. Who got snubbed, who didn't get snubbed. I mean, it's a lot going on, so I'm going to talk about it, man. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. I had every player on the East that made it except for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, the only player I didn't have. Here's the list of the starters. We got Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, Ben Simmons, like I mentioned, Jason Tatum, and Nick Vucevic from Orlando. And instead of Simmons, I had Sabonis. Yeah, I had Sabonis on there, which I can understand maybe why they didn't have Ben Simmons on the list. Maybe because of, why they did have Ben Simmons on the list, instead of Sabonis, because, you know, Philly is the best team in the East, and they've been the best team in the East for most of the season. Ben Simmons is, all defensive player, one of the, best passers in the game, great floor general for Philly. So I can understand having him over Sabonis. I don't really see it's maybe not that big of an argument, but I think what many people are questioning is like Trae Young not making it, or maybe Nick Vucevic making it, because then you say, well, Orlando's one of the worst teams in the East, but Nick Vucevic gets in. And then, why doesn't Sabonis get in? Because I know Indy's like 500 right now, or they're around that. Last time I checked, they were. So, there's a little bit of like, not a clear-cut like basis on like why players make the All-Star game. Like last season, it was if you're not on a winning team and you didn't get voted as a starter, you're not making the game. Like Zach LaVine was putting up crazy numbers last year too. He didn't make the All-Star game. Like there was a few players that were putting up like crazy numbers. Bradley Beal was averaging 30 points a game, didn't make the All-Star game because their teams weren't good. So it seems like the trend is kind of different this year, but it's a little like inconsistent, I would say. So yeah, I do like I can definitely see why Trae Young didn't make it. Even though Trae Young, like his counting stats are amazing, very high usage player. Their team is not as good as many people expected them to be. I didn't really expect them to be like great, like top 4 seed, but I thought that they would be like around 500, fighting for that 7-8 seed. It's still very possible because it's the Eastern Conference, but that team's been very underwhelming, and you haven't really seen Trae Young take that next step, I would say, like just in his game, even though his counting numbers are still great. They're probably like valuing his efficiency too. Like he is a very inefficient player also, but he does have the ball in his hands a lot. But that I don't really see too much disagreement with that. Other than that, like I really agree with everything that the Eastern Conference did. There were some guys that like maybe deserved a little bit of a look, like Gordon Hayward could have probably got a little bit of shine. Pascal Siakam, even though he got off to a slow start, he's been really good for Toronto. Bam is always going to be in discussions, but Miami's had so much like injuries and stuff, it's hard to really gauge them as a team. And guys like Jeremy Grant, obviously Pistons are like the worst team in the league. That's probably why he didn't get much consideration. But for the most part, I'm not really here to talk about all the snubs, man. I'm here to praise the guys that made it. So happy that Zach LaVine made it, because he's been putting up big numbers in Chicago for like the last like 3 seasons now. And he's somebody, he tore his ACL when he was in Minnesota. It was a question like whether he was gonna be able to reach that next level as a player because of the injury and all that. And he's showing us like he's exceeding those expectations, man. I don't think anybody expected Zach LaVine to be this good when he got drafted 7-8 years ago in Minnesota. It's crazy it's been that long since he got drafted, but he was somebody that was just like considered a dunker at one point, and he's definitely much more than that. He's been much more than that, but his game just continues to reach new levels. And without him, like, the Bulls will be at the basement of the NBA, because he's the one consistent thing every night. Like, he's going to bring it on the offensive end. Even on his bad nights, like against Philly last week, he had like a bad shooting game, but he was still like the best player for the Bulls, and he was still hitting big shots, timely shots when it mattered. So I'm happy to see him get his first All-Star nod. Also, shout out to Julius Randle, man. Julius Randle. The Knicks, the Knicks are they're playing good basketball. They're hovering around 500. Might be a playoff team this year. I just love to see the Knicks playing well. I love to see Julius Randle playing well too. When he's on, he's a really, really good player, and he seems to be on more so this season than in seasons prior. Like, he's really just playing his game, playing his role, man. Of course, I mentioned Nick Vucevic. I think he's one of the most underappreciated players in the league. Glad to see him get in his second time. Jason Tatum got in as well. You can't you like to see the steps that Tatum has taken this season, even though Boston's really struggling right now. And on stick with the Celtics, Jaylen Brown, I'm glad to see he got his first All-Star nod. He was right on the bubble last year to getting one, but he finally got it this year. Happy to see that. But really, shout out to Ben Simmons too, because Ben Simmons is becoming like a perennial All-Star, All-NBA caliber player. No matter how you look at him, his impact in the game, you're going to, like, if you actually watch basketball, you're going to see his impact. So shout out to those guys for making the Eastern Conference All-Star team. And let's move on to the West. Bro, the West is always going to be like the most snubs. Like, you're going to have a lot of, angry fans looking at the West. And, I see why. Like, I really see why. I'm going to just name off who made it first, and then I'm going to give y'all a second to figure out what's wrong. Anthony Davis, who's likely not playing. I don't think he is. He's not playing in the All-Star game. He's going to have an injury replacement, so there's going to be an extra spot regardless. But Anthony Davis, Paul George, Damian Lillard, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, and Zion Williamson. Devin Booker did not make the All-Star game again as a reserve. And I gotta pick up the mic. It's kind of, LeBron, he put out a tweet. He said D-Book is the most disrespected player in the league, and then he said following Damian Lillard. But yeah, he is. He's probably still gonna make it. Like, he's still gonna make it because Anthony Davis is not playing in the game. But bro, I can't, bro. I really can't. I don't see how Devin Booker's not an All-Star, even though he got off to not even a slow start. Like I said, plenty of videos before, just a quiet start. Like, his scoring numbers were down a little bit, but you kind of expected that with Chris Paul coming to the team, another ball dominant player. So he's being asked to adjust his game so much, and he did so, and he's been more efficient this season. And now his scoring has started to pick up. And the Suns are the fourth best team in the Western Conference. I think their record in the West would probably put them as the 2 seed in the East. And Devin Booker's a huge part of that. I didn't have Chris Paul on my All-Star list, but that was before Chris Paul started to go on a little bit of a tear. Chris Paul really started to tear it up of late. I think the starters were announced a couple weeks ago or something like that. Yeah, so I didn't have Chris Paul, but now, yeah, he definitely deserves it, because one of the major reasons why the Suns are so good. But with that being said, Devin Booker should still be an All-Star too. And I think the main question is probably going to be it's going to be between Rudy and Zion, I think. But I think Rudy should be in, bro. He's just like I mentioned about Ben Simmons. His counting numbers may not be amazing, super elite, but you're gonna see his impact if you really watch the Utah Jazz play basketball. He's really the reason why they are the best defensive team in the league. Or if they're not the best, they're at least top 2, top 3. They're up there. Because if you look, he doesn't have great defenders around him. Mike Conley is a good defender. Donovan Mitchell is he's okay. He's okay. He's okay. Royce O'Neal's a really good defender, and then Bogdanovich, he's a good defender, but he doesn't have elite defenders around him. He's really what makes that defense as elite as it is. So I can see why he's an All-Star, and why he's an All-Star pretty much every year, the last 3 years, I believe. I think the question comes with Zion. I really do. The question comes with Zion, because if you reward winning which like you assume these coaches do, like you promote winning, you would think Zion would get. I mean, you would think Devin Booker would get in over Zion. At least that's just me. But, you know, I'm not mad at Zion because Zion's had a great season. And no matter how you channel how he plays the game of basketball, he produces and he impacts the game for the Pelicans. Like, you can't argue that. But then again, the Pelicans are one of the, I mean, the West is kind of jumbled, but, you know, they're a below average team in the Western Conference. The Suns are looking like one of the, you know, better teams in the West. Like, they really bring it every night. And they're starting to gel. They're starting to look like one of the best teams. And Devin Booker is a huge reason to why that is the case. So, I don't know. If y'all disagree, I want to hear it. I think Paul George deserved to get in. I don't care what anybody says about Paul George. He definitely deserved to get in. He's been great this season. You know, when he's been on the court, like, he's been amazing this season. Obviously, Anthony Davis is not going to play. So, Book's probably going to get in anyways. No shame in that. Book's, he'll probably get in anyways, but it's the principle. It's the principle at the end of the day. Like, he should be in regard. He shouldn't have to depend on somebody to get injured, which is the same thing that happened last year. He shouldn't have to depend on that, man. Like, this is how Dame was getting treated early on in his career, like with the injuries and stuff. And it's sick. It's sick at the end of the day. But yeah, I was a little off on the West though. I had De'Aaron Fox getting in because at the time the Kings were, you know, they were like around 500, like, or they were at 500 and like the 8th seed or something like that. It was something crazy like that. They were really hooping, and De'Aaron Fox has been the main reason why. Like, he does so much for that team offensively, bro, and also really good defender too. So, you know, I wanted to show him some love. I thought he, you know, had a good case to get in, but they have been sliding lately. I think the ballots were due last night or the night before, like something weird like that. But yeah, Devin Booker, so disrespectful. I mean, he's gonna get in, but so disrespectful. But, you know, it's never. I don't think it's ever perfect with these all-star selections because it's a mixture of things. And at the end of the day, fans gonna want to see who they want to see, and then, you know, coaches are left to, you know, put together the rest. But Book will be there, but I know he's just probably like, bro, really. But hey, congrats to everybody that made the All-Star game, all the first-time All-Stars. I don't think the West has any first-time All-Stars except for Zion. So congrats to Zion. Congrats to Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, Zach LaVine for making their first All-Star games. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if I'm tripping or, you know, the selection process is tripping. Just let me know, man. Let's have a little discussion about it. If you made it to this point, leave a like because you must have enjoyed something about this video. And I'm going to be back next time, y'all. Peace.